We weren't ready for the snow, but we were ready for the snow. We didn't know it was going to snow today, but we were prepared for it. Let's talk about it. So, my family called me to check up on me to see if we are okay. Do we have everything that we need? Because none of us were expecting to get snow today. Oh, there was a major storm last night. But we were not prepared for snow, technically. So when she asked me, do I have everything I need? Since didn't know that it was going to snow and that we could possibly be snowed in if the snow continued to fall really heavy. Right now, it has lightened up. Thank goodness. So, were we prepared? Even though we didn't know a snow was coming today, so that we would have snow today? Yes. So, how were we already prepared if the snow brought in power outage and we were snowed in and could not go anywhere? Well, let's talk about it. We have our wood stove if the power went out. We only use the wood stove even when we do have power. So we have the wood stove. We have wood already in the house because it doesn't make sense to have wood and you don't already have it in the house. And that happened to a friend of mine. Anyway, so we have the wood stove to keep us warm. Not only do we have the wood stove to keep us warm, but if there was a power outage and we did not have our gas stove over there, which does not run on electricity, we would be able to cook on the wood stove. But we also have, which I just pointed to, that we could cook if the electricity went out. So let's say we didn't have a gas stove or a wood stove to cook or heat up food. Well, we have canned items that we can heat up because we have either or. But let's say we didn't have the wood stove and gas stove like I mentioned. We do have food that we can, and for others, people buy canned food. For emergencies, we have canned items that we can ourselves. So we could eat it straight out the jar if we had neither wood stove or gas stove. So we wouldn't starve, you see? So even if you don't have a wood stove, you're like, Marisa, I can't put a wood stove in my place. Or I don't have a gas stove. Have canned foods in your home because you can eat it and not starve. So let's say we didn't have any of those, but we had some fruits. I guess it'll be a raw day. Hopefully not days. So those are just some things. And in regards to water, we have water that we have stocked up in the home. We also have a well that is currently is connected to electricity. And so we plan to put a well pump or also have a, what is it called? A sand point well that we plan on doing come spring. And we also have a creek for other uses that we may need for water. But let's say you didn't have any of these external sources as a well and a creek or sand point well. You can stock up on water that you rotate, making sure that every week you have water in your house that is extra because you're going to use them, right? So you should have it. It should never run low, right? It should always be something that you have abundance in the home. Same thing with gas. Their gas should constantly always be more than half full by the time you enter your home, right? And if it's going lower, then you should replenish. That is something I learned living in Florida during hurricane. Okay, so you have more people talking about being prepared. And sometimes it seems like the titles can create anxiety or panic, and which is a stress. And some people, when they stress, they freeze. So it's flight, fight, or freeze. And remember that because when people are stressed or panic or anxious, they may fight, they may flight, or they may freeze. And sometimes people freeze. They don't know what to do. They know they need to do something. They know what to do, but they just can't move. And so preparedness is always spoken in the place of only physical. Preparedness is not focused also, in addition to mental preparedness and spiritual preparedness. If the spiritual and mental preparedness is not there, then the physical might do more than it needs to do or not do what is needed or necessary. And so it's moving out of place of panic and fear. When you have the spiritual component, you have a faith and a trust in God that He will take care of the rest. And you kind of lead by His guidance as He gives you wisdom on what to do. You are not in a place of panic. You sit down, you do an inventory of what you use every day, every week, every month, and longer than that. And how much of the things that you need, what you can buy little by little to add on to the home, whether it's toiletries, whether it's water, whether it's proper clothing for the weather, whether it's food, whether it's dry ingredients. You get to sit down and you write, you pray. I always think about pray, plan, and prepare. Those the three P's: pray, plan, and prepare. Not in a place of panic. We're not adding a fourth P of panic, which creates stress. So while things are still, this might sound weird to say, still calm, you can pray. And as you pray, you start to plan. And then after you plan, you prepare for what you planned for. And with every step, you pray for guidance and wisdom, not operating as if everything is on you, by yourself. And so I want you to keep in mind as you prepare for any emergency or crisis. There's different things that come in our life. There's the loss of a job. So I remember watching a YouTube video years ago, over 10 years ago. This lady kind of is a person that kind of prepared for things, like maybe a natural disaster or whatever. And I'm not sure she was a prepper or not. It was an older woman. And when her husband lost her job, one thing they didn't have to worry about was food, because food is like the next expensive bill next to your mortgage, right? Or your rent. And so that was one thing that they didn't have to be concerned with because they had well stocked up. So it gave them some time to not have to find money to make that expense while they navigate the new income or lack thereof for their household. So that's the preparedness. Every state have their natural disasters. You prepare for that. There's a website called ready.gov that helps you to think about the different disasters that is related to your state or county and city, and how to prepare for it for in your car, your home, and if you go to work, your office. So there's different ways to think about preparedness and what you should have just for basic necessities in case of an emergency. And so there's always this readiness that we should have. As somebody that believes in God's Sabbath, 7-day Sabbath, we always have to be ready to be prepared for the Sabbath coming because there's a preparedness. And so Friday is called Preparation Day, and that's in the Bible. So we prepare for the Sabbath that is coming. And we want to be prepared before the sun sets. We're not still getting ready while the sun is setting. So there's always this readiness to be prepared. And so I want you to think about, as so many things are happening, as people talking about being prepared for different disasters and the economy, loss of jobs, I want you to consider, what can I do within my scope? What can I do with my hands? What can I do now that will help me financially later? By stocking up on certain items, does not only prepare you for emergency or crisis, because it may not be an emergency or a crisis anytime soon, but it helps you in saving money. Because if you buy, let's say, you stocked up on, I don't know, let's just throw something out there, toothpaste, And the toothpaste we buy costs $3 today. By buying enough for the next 6 months that you don't have to come out your pocket for, you beat the inflation that changes the price to from $3 to $5. So it also saves you money. Buying in bulk saves you money. So like right now, we buy in bulk for a company called Azure Standard. And you can compare prices to any place where you can buy bulk on Amazon, any other website. If you have any other resources, please link it on for the community to share resources. So you could compare prices with Costco and stuff like that. But we use Azure Standard for our grains and some of our nuts and seeds. Now, for because I not too far from Georgia, maybe 2 hours and so, there's a farmers market, an indoor farmers market, huge, that's called the Dekalb Farmers Market, and I had the bright idea to partner with my siblings, my two sisters, and all three, because we live in separate houses, so that's 3 homes. And with them, we were able to buy boxed items, produce, and split the costs. When I say we got a whole lot of items, we paid about 200 and some change for a box of banana, box of potatoes, box of sweet potatoes, box of kale, box of apples, oranges. What else? I gotta hold the call. I had to call my son. We bought a box of several produce, cabbages, box of cabbage, box of chayote or coyote, in Creole we say militon, big bags of onions. So yes, there was several items that we had. Cucumbers, a box of cucumbers. So in total, we spent about $600, but individually we spent about a little over $200 for a great amount of food that we won't need to go there until maybe a month or over a month. And so one of my sisters stay with my parents. And so their household of 3, my other sister household of 2, and we a household of 3. But it was more than we could need. And so we have to maybe for some items freeze them so that it don't spoil because we had so much. And so that's just to let you know what you can do. So we created our own co-op. And so instead of going to the grocery store and only spending $200, but don't see what you got, don't see what you bought, and spending $200. No, we spent about a little over $200, and we have a lot of food. We didn't have to buy grains because they also bought grains in bulk. And what we go to the store mostly is fruits and vegetables. Oh, a box of carrots. We talking about a good amount of vegetables and and a box of pears. When I tell you, and a box of lemon, I'm going on with the list. These are a lot of things that we bought that I'm remembering. And so we created our own co-op between us and have enough food, produce to last us until next month or a little over a month. And we saved money that way. So just something that, with wisdom, God has given me to have that idea to do that. Instead of us buying our own individual thing, we came collectively to buy the things that we can split. And so that was a blessing. So now we're saving money. Instead of spending $500, we'll be spending $200. So yes, and actually see what we bought. So I'm going to share more videos on preparing but not panicking. And how to do that realistically within your means. And so you're doing things and thinking out the box that you don't have to have a lot of land or be in a country, which I do say, try, if you can, pray for the wisdom to move out of the major cities, which I'm trying to encourage 2 of my brothers to do. But anyway, but what you can do in your neighborhood, where you are, where you are. So, haven't done a video. I'm gonna kind of give you a tour of the living room. My son's room is a mess. And then we have the storage room, which is a mess. And so I'm really gonna focus on the living room. My room is clean because I like things to be in order. So I'll give you a quick tour of the mobile home that we reconstructed. So we are mortgage free. We don't have a mortgage. We don't have a mortgage on the land or a mortgage on our home. That doesn't mean we're debt free. So I don't want to put that out there and we're not. But we don't have a mortgage on our home or on our land. And so let me give you a small little tour. So yeah, we have the fireplace. I like this rug here. Just keeping it clean, trying to keep it clean with the kiddo. So here, I love plants. So I love the mountain. We don't have a mountain view. There's my sunroom right there. We don't have a right there. We don't have a mountain view, but I got this picture to remind us of the mountain view we had before. So I love plants. So I love to decorate with plants. We might add cabinets later, but this is what we're doing right now. I have to paint that. Just been really busy. So I'm probably going to paint that to match. I won't do it white. I'm not sure I'm going to do what color I'm going to paint it. But this is some of our bulk items that we bought that's in mason jars. And we have some of the produce that we bought right there. So I'm going to cook some of that today. Cabbage and potatoes. And some of the fruits that we got here as well. So some oranges, apples, and banana. Some of the more fruits are in the refrigerator. And so here, yeah, I'm going to change this out. He didn't know that I wanted black, so we're going to change this out. So this is our table where I do my devotion in the morning and some homeschooling with my son. And we don't have the landscape outside fully done, but we have started. As you can see right here, you got some snow on here. So we have to add some more grass. We're waiting for spring to do that. So the snow is melting. And so this is outside right here. We still have some more work to do up in the front. And then a long driveway out there. Okay, so this is also, if you remember my home before, where I had love, pray, and hope. And boy, do I need all of it. Okay, and so this is the entrance from the home right here. And the doors, the double doors from here. A lot of natural lighting, because we like that, of course. Love plants. And my room here. So that's really it. I mean, and then we have, I know somebody wanted to update. Of course, we have the pantry here and the laundry room that needs to be done, and another freezer to the corner. But that's really it. And then we have our guest room, which is storage right now till we finish with our barn. We actually got a barn. An RV cover that we're turning into a barn. So we sold the RV, plan on getting a smaller one later on, not anytime soon. And so my husband is putting the cover, buying metal sidings. And so he needed to finish there because it was not long enough. He miscalculated the length. And so he'll be adding there. So we're going to cover that fully up. We got one side covered. That's going to be our garage/barn to hold everything up. And so that's what we're using. And then he's going to paint it all black also. And so that's it really. And of course we have the bathrooms. The bathroom in my room And then the guest bathroom slash my son's bathroom. He said that's his bathroom, and nothing special, just regular. That's it. And that was the quickest way for us to move in. We could have taken our time. We could have. I think I didn't want to, but we could have stayed in the RV longer, which you can. Stay in the RV longer, take your time, and I think to get out of the RV quicker and to a place and to get something that was cheaper and didn't have to build from scratch was what we did. There's so many options to buying raw land and putting a home in it. We didn't want to do the tiny home because I think for me, when I'm stressed, I probably was just like, oh, and so it might have worked, but I probably was not gonna be happy with it long term, far as you know. So when we looked at everything to go fast, the mobile home was ideal. And you don't have to do what we did as far as breaking it down to the bare bones. You can get something that is as is and do what is needed and wait later, or something that doesn't need much work, so you're not paying as much. And so we we paid 55 for the land, which is about 5 acres, with a creek and a well. So when you take away the price, some might think I paid too much. And when I look at this land for 1 acre for 55, but when I calculate the amount of money that we would have spent to put a well in, and and it had a septic tank, but we're not sure if we're going to use that septic tank yet. But there's a septic tank already in the property. So if you calculate the 7,000 and the maybe roughly 13 or 15,000, you deduct that, we paid way less for the land, and then we're happy for our creek, and we just yes. So and then for the used mobile home, I think we paid 17 or 20,000. 17. So you took about 55, then you add 65, and then you add the other 7,000. You're looking at about 70. Let me do the math right. 55, okay, and then 65, and then 70, about 72, something like that. 72. So 72,000 for the land and the home. And then to get the guy to do the work, what we paid him, his work was 30,000. So we're looking at 100, and then to materials, let's say materials, and it's not without electricity part. So the material, just the home. So for the materials, I'll roughly say, and materials to get the house done, and the stuff that we bought to put in the home, like the refrigerator. Let's say another 60. Let's just say 60. And I'm just trying to give a higher number. So we're looking at about 160 for everything. 160 for everything. And then we got a brand new home. Everything is brand new. There's the only thing that might be still intact was the roof. We didn't have to do the roof. That was important. My sons. Anyway, if you know a book called Snowy Days, yes. Anyway, he reminded me of the book Snowy Days. So yeah, so about 160, so under 200 for sure. Even with the electricity, that was the highest thing that we could put in outside of the home, and it was still under 200. So you're talking about under 200 for 5 acres, brand new home, a well in the creek, and beautiful trees, walnuts and stuff like that. I think it was worth it. I think we could have even gone cheaper had we not did the work that we did. So we think we probably could have saved maybe it could have probably end up being, I said, so we talking about 160, so 180, about 180. I'm gonna just say 200. I like to just go higher. And if we did not do everything from scratch, we probably would have spent, we could have probably stayed within 150. We probably could have stayed 150, maybe even less than that. Because like I said, the mobile home was 20. We could have slapped some stucco on the wall and and painted. We would have probably saved, yeah, we probably saved maybe, if we probably could have stuck within 150. 150, and I'm talking about with appliances and everything. So we got appliances, everything for about 200 for everything. So without that, without all the work that we did, it probably could have been maybe 130, something like that. So you can make it cheaper. You can make it cheaper. So again, lastly, I know this is a long video, but I haven't been on for a while. The only thing that I would have done differently, realistically, only thing I would have done differently, I would have, if I knew it was going to cost me that much to put electricity in, and we did underground electricity. And I think people think we have money because we did that. But anyway, we wanted to save our trees. Was it worth it? I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, the only thing, like I mentioned previously, the only thing I would have done differently if I would advise anybody, find out if it's in your budget and you have it to do. I would have definitely did solar and not electricity. I would have definitely, especially the kind of life I want to live with, trying to reduce the bills. I would have done that. So for right now, we've eliminated mortgage, and we're about to eliminate the water bill, and hopefully in the near future we can remove the electricity bill. And so that's a goal. Maybe next year we have decreased our electricity bill because we have the wood stove. Now, come winter, we're going to see how that works, how that looks. I know spring we should be okay. Fall, so just the summer, and the summer is the only time our bill is kind of high. Then that's not so bad. If that's only 4 months out of the year, 4 or 5 months out of the year that we might need to use the AC. But the goal is that. But if we don't get solar, we're trying to look at how do we survive without electricity if the grid went down without solar. And so I've been doing research on that, and I will share all that with you. But me talking about preparedness is physically, is spiritually, mentally, and then physically. So all three preparedness are important. And so it's been a while, guys. I had a birthday, so I'm officially 49. Ooh, child, where did the years go? So this month I turned 49 years old. Happy birthday to me. Okay, so hopefully, because I'm homeschooling, and then I'm planning on getting my certification. So I'm trying to see how I'm going to fit everything in. My certification for what I do as a wellness coach. And so to start that in June, which is about 9 months, certification in board, which is about 9 months, and then homeschooling my son, and gardening. Yeah, we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work. But anyway, it's been a while. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you are okay. And if you're not, I pray that you sit for a minute, rest in how you feel, and then give it to God. Take a moment, sit down, and breathe. Because we can't do everything. And we have to look at what we got going and what. I'm in a season of, okay, Lord, I don't want to learn it the hard way. You got my attention. I ain't got it. I can't do it. But you can. So help me to believe that when I surrender it, you got it. Because I think I need to do a whole sermon like, Lord, I trust you, but can I trust you? I got a whole word for that. A whole word for that. Yes, I do. But anyway, this video long enough. I don't want to be another distraction. So make sure if you watch this video, give yourself a break from the screen and go manage your home. All right, until next time, be healthy. Bye-bye.